MAGA Mike Johnson just lost it on live TV after watching Republicans get absolutely crushed during this week's elections. As Speaker of the House, he was supposed to rally the party, but instead, he's panicking, stumbling through his speech, and even getting heckled in front of the cameras. What was meant to be a motivational speech turned into a total humiliation, and by the end of the day, Democrats couldn't resist piling on. So stick around to see Johnson's meltdown in full, and as always, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Now, as you've probably heard, the Democratic Party just wiped the floor with Republicans in Tuesday's elections, and even top Republicans are admitting their utter failure.
We got our asses handed to us in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City. Democrats swept all three.
It's not, you can't take this passively. The excuse to say, well, these are blue states, no, that's not going to hack it. Of course, New Jersey is a blue state, but it was trending our way. And we got smoked.
And it wasn't just the pundits. Donald Trump himself even joked about how shocked he was at the Republican losses this week.
Exactly 1 year ago, we had that big, beautiful victory. Exactly 1 year. Last night, it was, not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody.
The Republican Party got absolutely smoked. They said that they were chipping away at blue cities, but that is the exact opposite of what happened this week, as pointed out by NBC.
What you see in Virginia tonight, if you look at county level, is basically every single county moving towards Democrats. Including the rural ones, right? So one of the things we saw in the Trump years was you'd have these nights where the top line would be the Democrats are doing well or Trump is, Republicans are doing well. But when you went down, you saw the Trumpier counties getting Trumpier and the non-Trumpier counties getting even non-Trumpier. What we're seeing tonight in Virginia, if you look at the county level, everything moving towards the Democrats.
Including the Trumpy counties.
And in demographics too. So young people, men, women. So what we're seeing is like a real kind of wholesale shift as opposed to just the continuation of those.
Even Virginia, a state currently run by Republicans, was able to flip the governorship from red to blue. And losses like these are a huge warning sign that the leadership of the Republican Party has lost whatever support they had last year. The Republicans lost votes in the three biggest elections of the week: Virginia, New York, and New Jersey. And while everyone is focusing on the East Coast, even in smaller battlegrounds like deep red Mississippi, Democrats still made huge gains.
Well, look, Democrats didn't just win in blue places. They broke the supermajority in the Mississippi state legislature. They flipped seats in Texas that had never even been competed recently. They, in parts of Virginia that are deep red, the average, I think, was 6 points towards Abigail Spanberger. In New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill got a bigger margin than Governor Murphy did a couple years ago. So it's not just that we won in blue places. Democrats won all over the country. And I think a few things are clear. Number one, when Donald Trump himself is not on the ballot, his ideas don't win. And all of these candidates, look, Mikey Sherrill, Abigail Spanberger, very different candidates than Zohran Mamdani. They are moderates. They worked in the national security field, but they talked about affordability. And Donald Trump himself even admitted the shutdown, the Republicans are getting blamed for it, and that they needed to talk more about affordability. Donald Trump properly diagnosed the problem.
Democrats are making gains from coast to coast, while Republicans are getting the blame for an unpopular administration, on top of an unpopular shutdown. And it was the government shutdown that might have been the tipping point for many Americans. Starting tomorrow, this will have been the longest government shutdown in American history. Tens of thousands of government workers are not being paid, food stamps are expiring with no clear plan to save them, and meanwhile, the Republicans who controlled Congress are doing absolutely nothing to clean up their mess. This government shutdown is the biggest drag on the Republicans yet, and you can tell Mike Johnson is starting to get nervous about it. One of the first things he said in a press conference today was that under his leadership, Congress has been more productive than ever before. Even from MAGA, this lie sounds incredibly desperate.
So it's very clear who's responsible for this, and I think that when we go into next year in the midterms, we're very bullish about the outcome. We have an extraordinary record to run on. You mentioned, Leader Scalise mentioned sort of what we call the split screen here. And I'll remind you all again, under President Trump and Republicans, we have had an extraordinary run. The first 9 months of this, 9 months, the 10th month has been shut down because of the Democrats. The first 9 months of this Congress and this administration, arguably the most productive of all time. We cut taxes, cut regulations, cut waste, fraud, and abuse in government.
Republicans and Democrats might disagree on a lot, but I don't think there is a single American who would call Mike Johnson's Congress the most productive of all time. With a record-breaking shutdown, this Congress has literally done the least amount of work of all time. And if Mike Johnson isn't already playing defense on his terrible record leading Congress, then he went off on California for daring to fight back against Republican gerrymandering. On Tuesday, California voted to erase several of its Republican congressional seats, and even though Republicans started this redistricting fight, MAGA Mike is now complaining that the Democrats aren't playing fair.
I'll make a comment about the tragedy in California last night. What California did is very, very different, as you all know, by comparison to what a state like Texas did. Texas was following the federal and state constitution, following their state law and redistricting. California was not. They had to trample over their own state law, over their own independent redistricting commission that they had all put into place. It was a desperation, a sign of desperation on the Democrat Party. It was a game to try to rig the election, as if you could gerrymander California anymore. They managed to do it. I mean, there's like 53 representatives from California. We had 9. They want us to have 3. I mean, it's just a blatant example of Gavin Newsom's immoral leadership and the fact that they will do anything to try to rig the system to win. They know that they cannot win on their policies.
Mike Johnson seriously just said today that Democrats cannot win on their policies, after Democrats just swept the floor with Republicans in an election. Even for Mike Johnson, this press conference sounded pretty shaky. In fact, right after this, Mike Johnson said that he thinks that Republicans could win the midterms next year if they could just finish redrawing all of the state's congressional maps. And let's just set the record straight. Mike Johnson is literally saying that Republicans might need to rig elections to win them, but somehow he thinks that the Democrats aren't popular. I see.
Eruptions. They've assaulted ICE officers. They have spurred on political violence, and they closed down the government, which is their most basic duty and responsibility. I think the American people are smart. I think they will understand this, and I think the midterm is going to be a great one for us. We had a demographic shift in 2024. We have a very favorable election map on the Republican side, and it will be even more favorable once all the redistricting stuff is settled out. We have Democrats who are flailing. They have no leader. Their national leader now, as we've noted, is Mondami. He's a communist. Good luck with that.
All Mike Johnson can talk about is how great that he thinks Republicans are doing, because he's terrified to admit that under his leadership, congressional Republicans are turning voters away from the party. And if that isn't sad enough, you may have noticed that strange pause at the end there.
Good luck with that.
Well, Mike Johnson's post-election press conference was interrupted by Democratic Representative Houlihan, who showed up just to heckle him and call out the speaker for doing nothing but lie to the American people. And because he is such an immature and unserious person, MAGA Mike then tries to argue with Houlihan over the microphone, helping to derail his own press conference. Just listen to him yell in the background of this clip.
For Mr. Jeffries or Mr. Schumer, I am part of the American people, and I believe that, and you should respect free speech. I'm asking you a question if you're ready to have a conversation with the other side. You represent all of us. You are the speaker for all of us, sir. You have an obligation not just to speak lies to the American people. You have an obligation to call the leadership of both parties and bring us together and solve this problem together, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mike Johnson knows that this week's election wasn't just a fluke. The American people are sick and tired of Republicans playing games with their lives, and nobody made that clearer than Representative Houlihan. She called him out right to his face for lying and doing literally nothing to help end the government shutdown. And honestly, that's what Democrats should be doing from this day forward. We won the 2025 elections and will do even better in the midterms. Mike Johnson can try to act confident, but everyone can see the truth. He's desperate to not be the guy blamed for a disaster election for Republicans. So let me know your thoughts on this week's incredible elections, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more.